Today we're talking Bigfoot, The Search for Sasquatch. We read this book. Actually, I read it, and then we read it. What did you think about this book?
I think it was great. I like the details and about how other people thought about the book.
Okay, that's cool. Remember the author? The author's name was Laura Krantz. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what was unique about Miss Krantz? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. You're very honest. Thank you. Miss Krantz, I believe it was her uncle. Was it her uncle?
Maybe.
I think so. Her uncle used to be a Bigfoot hunter too, and she did not realize that her uncle was the Krantz that she had read about in previous Bigfoot papers, up in Seattle, somewhere in Washington. All things Bigfoot are up in Washington. Did you realize that?
No.
I'm generalizing, but, it's an overgeneralization, actually. Yeah. So you're in what grade, dude? Fifth grade. Could you read this book by yourself?
Yeah.
You could. There were maybe a couple words and concepts I had to help you with, but it wasn't much, was it?
No.
Did you like the book?
Yeah.
Was it difficult for you to understand?
No.
Okay.
It was easy.
It was easy. Was it educational?
I think like 5th graders and 4th graders would like Sasquatch all the way up to 7th grade.
All the way to 7th grade. And that's the search for Sasquatch. Yeah. And what's unique is that it's a very scientific book. Laura herself has a very popular podcast and has either done some work with NPR or works for NPR. So she knows her chops, and it's written from a journalist's perspective. A journalist who kind of wants to believe in Sasquatch, but also has to kind of has to build in the pros and cons, and is there proof for it? In other words, it's not agenda driven, is it? I mean, that's one thing I noticed about the book there, brother, is that she wasn't really saying Sasquatch exists, let's go find proof. She's more like, there's this stuff out here, let's apply the scientific method to it and see what happens. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like, remember that thing that they found in the mountains, again, in Washington State?
Yeah.
Those big things in the woods, what were they?
They looked like Sasquatch, or some people thought it was Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
No, remember it was like those big things that they found that people were sleeping in, or that things were sleeping in. Remember that part in the book?
Yeah.
They basically, it was these big wooded nests, and it looked like almost like an eggshell made out of really thick wood from the woods, but it had been slept in. It was amazing. What's neat about the book is that it's very detailed like that. Personally, I would have liked to have seen some pictures. Like when Miss Krantz visited these nests up in the woods in Washington State, I would have loved to have seen some pictures of them. But maybe that's a case where the Bigfoot people wouldn't have allowed it, because then they would have tourists all up and down the coast looking for them. I think that's why. Was there anything about the book, The Search for Sasquatch, that you thought could have been better? 5th grade reader?
I think they would. I think they should be more color in the book.
More color?
Because it's mostly brown, black, and white.
Yeah, it's monochromatic. There are no pictures. There are lots of illustrations, but there aren't any pictures. And again, maybe that's because of some licensing rights with the Bigfoot hunters. What do they call them? The Squatchers. With the Squatchers, that they didn't want actual pictures taken. I don't know. Or maybe she thought it would have dumbed down the scientific cred of the book, because it's a very approachable book. I mean, it's not paranoid UFO Sasquatch hunting 4101. It's a very accessible, science-driven book, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think grades 5 to 7 would like it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What other books would you like to see in this vein? It's a Wild Thing book, and that leads me to think it's an imprint from Abrams books for young readers. But I don't know if it's an ongoing imprint or not. But if you look at the cover of it, it says A Wild Thing Book: The Search for Sasquatch. So that says, okay, maybe there are going to be some other books in that. I would like to see that, but like a nice scientific approach that kids in upper elementary school can read and learn from, and not just dig into the paranoia of whatever the outrageous claim of the day is. What would you like to read the next book on, if it is a series?
Bigfoot.
That was the book. They wrote
Yeah, but
that.
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch is Bigfoot. It's the same thing.
Okay.
What do you think? I'd like to see one on UFOs.
I would like to see one on, like, flying saucers,
Yeah.
strange objects in the sky.
Yeah. Maybe monsters under sea. Oh yeah.
No.
Maybe like a Nessie, Loch Ness monster. You heard of that?
No.
Loch Ness monster. Is that monster that lives in Scotland, in the lake?
Scotland?
Yeah.
Oh, is Scotland still alive?
I don't know if it's still alive. That's why they need a book about it, because some people think the Loch Ness monster is made up. Some people think it's just some folklore. Some people think it's the real dinosaur. Who knows?
Scotland is a state?
Scotland is a country in Europe. It's far away from here, brother. But I've been there. I've spent a couple nights on the loch. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so did you see the Loch Ness monster?
I did not see the Loch Ness monster. I went to a haunted castle, and I spent the night in a haunted castle, and I spent a couple hours by the
why
loch.
do people say that the Loch Ness monster exists?
I think some people might say the Loch Ness monster exists because they might be trying to make money. Some people probably really believe that it does, and I think some of the things might legitimately be mysterious things that they see on the lake, like maybe these things that pop up from the lake. Maybe they're big sticks. Who knows? I would like to go there again and maybe do a book on this, a Wild Things book.
I would like to go to Scotland, but I would also go scuba diving to see if the Loch Ness monster is actually real.
It's a big lake. I mean, it's a big loch. Lake Loch, same thing. You know, like when we went to Lake Michigan?
Yeah.
Remember how big that lake was? It's that big. It's huge. It's massive. So if you went scuba diving, you'd have a hard time seeing everything, but I'd go with you.
No. The best way of me tracking stuff down would either be calls, because sometimes, like Bigfoot's, you just bash a stick against a tree,
Yeah.
and it makes a noise that Bigfoot like for some reason. And they also make these huts or some kind of structure that they sleep, or it's like camouflage so people can't see it,
Yeah.
because Bigfoots are really shy and they don't want to be seen.
Is it Bigfoots or Big Feet or Sasquatch? What's the plural?
Bigfoot?
I don't know. That's a question maybe Mrs. Krantz could answer. But that's a great example. What he's talking about is, see, the book is loaded with these latent facts that kids about your age, they'll eat up. And when you're reading the book or when they're reading it to you, you'll think, they're not paying attention. But I guess they were. In this case, they were. And to be clear, he read the entire book by himself. I read the occasional paragraph. I was just there because you like reading to me. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, we love that. The book is The Search for Sasquatch. It's from Laura Krantz.